Hey, what are you doing? Huh? You should not let your young child by themselves every single day. I reported it. You're really the worst. One of my neighbors yelled me late at night after an overtime. I had no clue what he meant. I don't have any children. I am Isabella, nurse by profession, 35 years of age. I have been married to Egan for 2 years. We met at a mixer. He came at me with a lot of anger, so I went out on 3 dates just because he was bald. He meant a lot to me, and he was really nice. We moved in together after we only started dating. He also made an effort to do housework and cooked for me. He really does all the housework minus cooking, so it is great help since I have a random-ass job with night shifts. I fell in love with him a little bit more. We started dating at about 1 year after he proposed to me and then got married. Sure, I am quite problematic, but Isabella is my forever. Please marry me, he said. Naturally, I wanted to spend the rest of my life with Ethan as well, so we got married. Just giving myself away was making me happy to be my love. Our life didn't change at all since we lived together a long time and already did everything new, but just to be husband and wife gave me happy butterflies. Wow, it's really nice. And why wearing a ring on the left hand makes you so happy? Well, thank you, but I'm really happy, so maybe that's why it comes across my aura. Wow, I need to get that aura. Hey, what are you doing? It looked like the junior was giving a blessing, as if she were scooping out spiritual air with palms up. I laughed so hard when she made that move, I almost choked on the coffee. The atmosphere in this workplace is very peaceful and convenient, even if it is busy, but there are a lot of good people to be surrounded with, so I will keep on working here. Also, when I get home to a loving and caring husband, that means everything. I'm home. Oh, welcome back. Overtime again today. Right, I know, but it was for a few days before coming. I see. Thanks for your hard work. Dinner's done, just warm it up and eat. Wow, thank you. Today's chicken curry. Geok, I will wash my hands straight away. My husband will do the housework for me if I am as busy with work. On a day when I am tired, if one can go home and have an appetizing meal placed on the table in front of me. I was delighted. Time flew by, and we soon celebrated our 2-year marriage anniversary. We were still a happy couple after 2 years. Also, I declared her my best friend. There came a time that new neighbors moved in next to us when we lived in an apartment. They were evidently a young couple, probably 7 or 8 years our junior. They came by to say hello on the day they moved in, and were such a sweet couple. At the very least, I began saying hi to my neighbor on my way out or when taking out the trash. I got to know his wife and began a chat with her. Anderson was the name of the couple next door, husband and wife, Sophia. They looked to be a lunch pail working pair like us who were apartment dwellers out of necessity, until they could afford their own home. They were frugal, and they anticipated having enough money in another few years. I found it to be pretty incredible that they had a vision before 25. A home of our own. Seated on my desk, I thought, if only I could save enough money to build one too. In reality, my husband works in private at low wages, although we both work but do not have much money. Trickle not being flushed completely, but leaving us a little room to breathe provided we did not become overconfident. On the one hand, my husband appears to be working hard, but on another, his salary claims are looking depressingly flat. And even if he is promoted, it does not pay too much because the company pays little for their posts. He does not plan to quit simply because the individuals he performs with are excellent people. Heck, that feeling I can relate to. Somehow I continue to work. My coworkers are being nice. Besides, I'm making much more money now, and my husband is trying his best with household chores, so no complaints there. I want to live on and only be happy with my husband from now. The unexpected happened, however. One night, when I was stuck at work until way too late because there was a lot of it, I was really tired when I finally reached home close to the last train. But then as I went to come in my house, she yelled out, "Hey, what are you doing?" Huh. It was Mr. Anderson, our neighbor, who talked to me in a furious voice. It had the husband, not wife. Since our commuting schedules don't overlap, I hardly ever see him. I only met him once when he moved in to introduce himself. I do not even know when is this going to work. What's going on? Don't play dumb. It's about the child. Child? You don't leave your young child home by itself every day. I reported it. You're really the worst. My neighbor once yelled at me in the dead of night when I was working late towards finishing my overtime. I had no clue what he was even referring to. But Mr. Anderson was just downright furious. I don't have any children. What? That lie won't work. I have seen it happen with my own eyes. There was a kid under 10 years old seated at your entrance. Huh. In front of my house. That's what I'm saying. That's serious abuse. But if my husband and I are childless, why am I being accused of something like this? Next door, a door opened and Sophia stepped outside. Hey, you are making a lot of noises. It's 12 a.m., so keep quiet. Oh, but Sophia must have talked with her husband, and I guess he was a bit calmer. Isabella, you don't have kids. A boy was breakdancing outside. I've seen it before, so I got a bit scared, she said. I didn't want to at first interfere with your family's business, but I seen it several times, so was a little concerned. That is still abuse to put that person outside, even if it's for an education. But our lack of children. Though I said it in this way, the Anderson family seems suspicious of me. What should I do? They don't believe me at all. Anyway, I'll not do any more to the kid. Mr. Anderson said that, then shot me a look and left. What on earth is going on? I came home. My husband was in the shower forthcoming. I could hear the water running. I figured he was taking a bath and would likely not hear me, so I set the situation aside for another day. Oh well. Welcome back. You were late. It was, yeah, I had to work late. I see. Thanks for your hard work. In turn, my husband was blow-drying his hair with a towel. I finally decided to confront him about what had occurred earlier. I just got harassed by our neighbor's SPOOKKI husband. What? Why? I don't really know. He was pissed but said something about having to stay with our kid. Child, my husband looked puzzled. Yes, he mentioned seeing a young child sitting outside of our house on multiple occasions. Huh. What do you mean? We don't have any children. Yes, so I do not know why. Then they were struck by the fact that neither their siblings had kids, so whose kid was on our doorstep? This part was kind of scary to us. A complete stranger's child had been sitting outside our house for hours. Oh yeah, you're right. It appeared that the severity of what was happening hit my husband then, and his face contorted. Also, our neighbor was also suspecting that we were child abusers. But we have done nothing wrong, so why do things like this still misunderstand us? I had the day off the following morning, but a visit from the feds, police and child services. It turns out that Mr. Anderson next door has really snitched on us. My response was that we had no children. The police and child welfare officials remained skeptical at first, but eventually they were won over. The police came today. Huh, really? I remember him being shocked that it had become such big a deal to the hubby. Why are we going through this? I felt really bad. Being suspected for something we didn't do, it became really tough living in this house. Lately, when I see Sophia outside as she heads down to the corner with her tin cans, which used to be my job before winter, underlining that recurrent rectitude thing is ironic because all that requires a mouth moving. Lately, instead of telling me something about this or herself or who else lives here besides an old lady and God knows now, maybe even we might joke there's someone older jogging by waving away American-Russian pleasantries revolving around our welcome aboard presidential povertocracy petulance parade. Just one more pair young naked hands holding Stalin up exclaiming dirty bleachers, while else microwaves goat liver spleen celebration ancestors quote plaque Epstein bridges cranes slowing over puddles body parts on ice temp. Bulb sellers are KGP honeybees raise carnival for kids next World War tricks. Felt lots. While I was stuck in that uncomfortable environment, my loving wife stayed afloat to make ends meet. But then something happened. One day shortly after working the midnight shift and coming home in, Reedmore, Anderson, and his wife were home. I was like, oh man, of all the times to bump into them, they seemed just as waiting for me. Good morning, Isabella. Good morning. Oh, did you pull an all-nighter? Oh yeah, but there's something I need to say. Huh? Not a hint of energy aimed at me, but the Tusas looked grimace. I gave them a hearing in my house. I walked them through to the living room, made coffee while they squirmed into their seat, and then took tea from Jamie with an apology from the Andersons. I'm really sorry. Huh? You are finally the people we had on our minds since ages. Yeah, I guess that was the vibe of it. Him. So why the fuck are you apologizing? I'm sorry there was a kid in front of your house, one yesterday, too. Huh. From working as soon as I came home, there was the nature that nevertheless had to talk with him back. I asked if it was always the case that he got punched out of this house. This is the house where he plays with his mother, but no one said Lid be here. Huh. What do you mean? Not knowing what he meant either, I did not respond. Then he added, do you live here at your grandmother and grandfather's house with them? He shook, then looked at me and replied their own house. That is when I finally got his drift. Sophia beat about the bush, but I already knew what she was getting at. You know, this woman with a kid my husband is boning. He's bringing him here. Sophia nodded awkwardly when I said that. You're not gonna work anyways, manipulative bullshit aside. I just wanted to say, I'm really sorry for saying that horrible stuff. I mean, I was kind of being half-arsed about justice and then managed to insult you. Her husband apologized yet again. Don't worry about it. That police were called was not entirely shocking, but it did take me aback a bit. I'm really sorry. The Andersons apologized and my mind went to the water skis, which was when I started thinking about that affair of hers. My husband had waited all this time at home for her. I apologize for the inconvenience my husband brought upon you with his selfish behavior. It still seems unreal to me, but if the boy says so, it may be true. Sophia, I want to ask something of you. Is that okay? Then I thought of a good plan. Cat, it was pretend going to work, and then busting up on the trifling bastard while he with his mistress. I got my next month assignment. I was put down on night shift, which I then told the hubby that I had a night shift some weekend. And it was an off day for me, and I happened to be hanging out at the Andersons. I left, went to a cafe, and whiled away half the afternoon. After work, while Josie was at the supermarket and Ralph home from school, I went to his parents' place. But at the night when I went outside to see, a very small child was standing on front of gate. And well, my husband seems to have been caught red-handed in the house with a woman. Isabella, good luck. Okay, I'll go. To boisterous cheers from the Andersons, I opened the door and went inside. The living room was filled with a man and woman who I could hear speaking animatedly to each other. From my position, I held up and ran into the living room. What are you guys doing? Oh my God. Why is Isabella here? Why do you think so? Why would you be messing around with some naked chick? This is child outside, correct? That woman's child. You lied to me when I asked you if the neighbor warned everyone, didn't you? Listen to the conversation with neighbor then. You would have known the content given how boisterous it was. So you took a shower to pretend you didn't hear it when you were listening to my story. You were acting because you knew the content. My husband was struck at the heart of the matter. He remained silent and hung his head. I can't believe it. Not only did you betray me and have an affair, but you also left a small child outside. Well, what else could I do? I couldn't do it if there was a child. I'm disgusted. You guys are worse than monkeys in heat. When I said that, the mistress glared at me. Shut up. It's the one who's being cheated on that's at fault. By the way, that child is Ethan's child. Huh. I got pregnant after you decided to get married. Well, I wasn't interested in getting married yet, and I was okay with it because I was getting child support. Child support? Oh, didn't you know? Ethan acknowledges that child, so he pays child support to me properly. At that moment, everything made sense to me. You didn't have a low salary. You had less money left over because you were paying child support. My husband looked awkward. Really, you're the worst. I worked so hard for our married life. I'm sorry, but I care about our married life too. What? How much more are you going to make fun of me? We're getting a divorce. Wait a minute. I don't want to get divorced. Enough already. But you're not home a lot because of your night shifts and stuff, so you're responsible too. Don't blame me. You brought the woman home conveniently. And can you say that in front of your mother? Huh. Next the doorbell rang and I showed in a visitor. My parents-in-law. I never called them when I figured my estranged husband was bringing his whore home. Ethan, what the hell are you doing? Mom and Dad, why are you here? We received a call. What you are doing is a betrayal to Isabella. You're a disgrace. He cringed from his parents, not wanting to be bombarded with angry words. The mistress was trembling as well. Isabella, I apologize for my foolish son. I will make sure she divorces that man and pays you back. I'm really sorry. Wait a second, Mom and Dad. What the? Shut up. We are taking you back home to your parents immediately. Also, stop embarrassing her in front of Isabella. That being said, my in-laws dragged him fucking to the car. And the child welfare and then some of the police arrived. This is the woman. She left outside a little boy on multiple occasions. It was looking like the Andersons had reported her to the police and were actually pointing at the mistress when they showed up. What's going on? Why do the police need me? The mistress has been arrested. I was a bit relieved when I saw the mistress turn pale. With my in-laws' help, I facilitated a clean divorce with my husband. I also sued my ex-husband and his shameless mistress. It turns out the two of them had been together since my sperm donor days, and they met a lot, just lots. I even thought I could not believe, after all, we were married to a jerk. However, I was relieved that at least I dumped his ass before getting knocked up. Had the father been a much worse man, then so will too be his child. A boy who was sitting in front of my house described as having been picked up by me parents-in-law and raised. The mistress will never have him be able to see the child, and my ex-husband would not find a house because his parents already cut ties with him. Apparently they discovered my ex-husband's shit show at work, and he was demoted with a pay cut. I will grant, because the president was a family man, my ex-husband's actions were sure out of line. My ex had to settle for a lower-paying job since he was also obligated, rightfully so, to pay child support and alimony, which left him living poor. Of course, I decided to move. I didn't want to live in an apartment that was a scene of adultery. So later on now, I live alone in a single apartment, and I am living my life happily. I am still friendly with the Andersons. 2 years later, they constructed their own home and called me to visit their house. Years later, they had invited me to home parties, and I even dated one of the men there. He works with my husband, Sophia's spouse, and he is the same age as I, and we have very similar disposition. He has confidence of his subordinates and is a very nice person. It is uncertain if we will wed in the future, but I like dating him, and my life, both private and work, are satisfactory. And I want to continue